My name is Juliet Mercer, and I'm 35 years old. Competence doesn't strut, it calibrates. The dishwasher drops into off-peak at 12:01 because I told it 2 months ago. The budget cells exhale soft green on the last day of each month. The house sits where it should sit, quiet, steady, because ballast is a decision, not a miracle. No one thanks ballast until the boat lists. This story starts, not with shouting, but with a signature that never happened. I didn't ask for a prenup because I don't believe in love. I asked for it because my grandfather opened a commercial printing shop in the 1970s that my father expanded, and when I came in after college, I did what good daughters with sharp elbows and dull patience do. I learned the books, the ink, the contracts. I'm now a partner with a 30% stake in a company valued around $8 million. On paper, my share is roughly $2.4 million. I take home about $180K a year in salary. 5 years ago, I bought my house for around $320,000 and paid it off aggressively. Between retirement, investments, and savings, I sit on about $3 million in assets. Not billionaire rich, just stable. My boyfriend Evan makes about $52K at his events firm. He rents. He has some savings, maybe $15K, and credit card debt he's been paying down. That's not a judgment, it's a ledger. I have ballast. He has weather. We were supposed to be married on October 12th. Back in April, when I first mentioned the prenup, Evan's hand was warm against my thigh on my couch, his voice easy. "It makes sense," he'd said. "You've got the business and all." He took a sip of Pinot and smiled. I let myself breathe. I gave my lawyer the green light. The agreement was standard. Premarital assets remain separate. Anything acquired during the marriage is joint. In a divorce, spousal support for half the length of the marriage. No traps, no poison pills, just common sense for unequal starting points. 3 weeks before the wedding, September 20th, we were at my kitchen table, the kind of afternoon that should have been small and lovely. Seating chart, final payments, Bali tabs open. I slid the folder toward him. "My lawyer finalized it," I said. "You'll want your own attorney to review. Should be quick." He flipped a page. Another. His jaw arranged itself into something I recognized from other people's stories, and pretended I'd never see in mine. "I'm not signing this." "What?" "I'm not signing a prenup, Juliet." He didn't raise his voice. That was worse. "If you loved me, you wouldn't ask me to." There it was, the thesis that turns protection into insult, the alchemy that transmutes math into moral failure. "We discussed this," I said carefully. "You said you understood." "That was before I really thought about what it means." His mouth twisted. "It means you're planning our divorce." "It means I'm respecting the work done before you and I ever met," I said. "You would do the same." "I wouldn't," he said, "because I believe in marriage. There are moments where your life splits, neatly as paper along a scored line. The light in the kitchen felt colder, though the bulbs were the same. "This is non-negotiable," I said. "The prenup happens, or the wedding doesn't." He laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "You're bluffing." "I'm not, Evan. We have 200 people coming in 3 weeks. Deposits paid. My suit is altered." His eyes narrowed. "You're going to blow up our wedding over a piece of paper?" "It's not a piece of paper," I said. "It's protection, and yes." His face flushed. "Fine," he snapped, shoving the folder back. "Take it or leave it." "I'll leave it." Silence in the shape of a slammed door that never actually slammed. He stared like I'd reached through his chest and rearranged something essential without anesthetic. "You can't be serious." "Dead serious," I said, because ballast is not an apology. "I'll start making calls tomorrow." He grabbed his keys. "You'll change your mind," he said. "You're being stubborn. Call me when you've calmed down." The door clicked. I sat there and opened my laptop. A list bloomed. Venue, postpone, caterer, deposit forfeited, photographer, band, florist, the arithmetic of retreat. By noon the next day, I'd lost a $3,000 venue deposit, $1,200 to catering, $800 to the photographer, and $500 to the band. The florist was kind enough to refund half. Total damage, about $500. Expensive? Yes. Cheaper than a divorce timed to punish the person with more to lose. I sent a mass email. "Due to unforeseen circumstances, the October 12th wedding is postponed indefinitely. Thank you for your understanding." Evan's parents called within the hour. His father, Gregory, opened with, "Juliet, what on earth is going on? Evan says you canceled the wedding." Postponed, I said. The word felt clinical, a bandage word. He refused to sign the prenup we agreed on months ago. A prenup? Gregory exhaled the syllables like smoke. Come on. You two love each other. Why do you need... I have significant assets, I said. This is standard. There was a pause, then his mother, Patricia, took the phone. Her tone softened enough to abrade. He feels judged, honey, like you think he's after your money. If he isn't, then the agreement isn't a problem, I said. She was quiet then. You know, Evan's ex, Lila, would have married him without making him feel like a suspect. That landed where it was meant to land. I looked at the window. The sky was very blue. Then perhaps he should be with someone who shares his feelings about paperwork, I said. Thank you for calling. I didn't block anyone. Documentation matters. 3 days in, my phone learned the rhythm of a metronome. Evan's text arrived every 30 minutes. This is ridiculous. Everyone's asking what happened. My mother is crying. You're humiliating me. Just tear up the papers and let's move on. On day 4, Tessa, one of his friends, left a voicemail. He loves you. He's just scared. Prenups feel like a prediction. Can't you compromise? I could have worked with honest fear. I could have walked him line by line through the terms, added warmth where the language felt cold. But the refusal wasn't about terms. It was about the idea that asking for protection was an insult he must defeat. I won't marry a man who needs me unguarded to feel loved. Day 6, I pulled into my driveway and saw a car that wasn't mine. My mother was on the porch, posture that said this was a mission, not a drop-in. She came inside with me and sat at the table where the folder still lay like a corpse we were too polite to name. She called me, my mother said. Patricia. I made coffee. She didn't touch hers. They wanted me to talk sense into you, she said. I told her I'd listen to you first. I told my mother everything. The April agreement, the standard terms, the September reversal, Evan's argument that love and protection can't coexist. My mother listened the way she taught me to as a kid. No interruptions, no dramatics. When I finished, she sighed. Your father would say, protect the business, she said. And I agree. She put her hand over mine. But if Patricia called me, she'll escalate. Be ready. She was right. The next morning, Patricia appeared at my office. The receptionist whispered her in, against my better judgment, because curiosity arrives dressed like courtesy. Patricia had red eyes and a tissue in one hand, the theater of grief on cue. Juliet, please, she began. Talk to Evan. He's devastated. I don't have anything to add, I said. He's welcome to have his own counsel review the agreement. He chose not to. It makes him feel like a criminal, she said. Like you think he's a gold digger. I think he changed a material term at the latest possible moment, I said. That isn't gold digging. That's manipulation. Her expression cooled like a stove turned off. The tears stopped. You know what your problem is? She asked gently. You think you're better than him because you have money. You think he should be grateful. I stood. We're done here, I said. You're making a mistake, she said, gathering her bag. Evan is a catch. There are women who would marry him without a prenup, I finished. I've heard. That night, an unknown number texted me screenshots. Messages between Evan and Brooke, a friend I'd met twice. Dated August, 2 months before the blow-up. Brooke, wait, she actually wants you to sign a prenup? Evan, yeah. Her lawyer sent it over. Brooke, then stall. Agree now and refuse right before the wedding. She corrected. She won't blow it up with deposits paid and everyone invited. She'll cave. Evan, feels manipulative. Brooke, it's strategy. People like Juliet think money can control everything. Flip the script. I stared at my screen until the words stopped being words and became weather. Another text followed. Thought you should know. Brooke bragged about it. Good luck. I forwarded the screenshots to my attorney with a note. Premeditation indicated. Then I created a group thread with Evan, Patricia, Gregory, and his sister Lauren. I attached the images and wrote one sentence. This is why the wedding is canceled permanently. Please stop contacting me, my family, and my workplace. I left the chat. Outside, the sky had gone indigo, one star elbowing through. Inside, the folder lay flat on the table, useless and perfect, a parachute no longer needed because I'd refused to board the plane. Somewhere in the dark, my phone began to ring. And ring. And ring. There's a silence that follows exposure. It isn't peace. It's static. The kind that hums through your teeth and fills every hallway. The morning after I sent the screenshots, my phone lit up like a distress beacon. Missed calls from blocked numbers, messages from mutuals, even one from a florist who'd seen a Reddit thread about the canceled wedding. My inbox became a museum of disbelief. By noon, Lauren, Evan's sister, texted, "I saw the messages. I'm so sorry, Juliet. I didn't know he was capable of that." At least one person believed me. That same afternoon, my attorney called. "You did the right thing," he said, voice brisk and clinical. "But brace yourself for emotional retaliation. Manipulative people don't surrender. They regroup." He was right. Evan's family switched from heartbreak to outrage in record time. Patricia sent a long email titled Context, claiming the screenshots were out of proportion and taken out of context by jealous friends. Gregory followed with a voicemail that started polite and ended with, "You're going to regret making a private matter public, Juliet." I forwarded everything to my lawyer and let the phone ring itself tired. That night, I stood in the kitchen surrounded by envelopes, contracts, receipts, my private cathedral of order. Every item represented ballast. The deposits I'd forfeited, the lists I'd completed, the documents I'd saved. The only thing that didn't belong was the engagement ring. $8,000 of clarity, now glinting like an accusation on the counter. I slid it into its velvet box. The click when it shut sounded final. 2 days later, my mother came back, holding a grocery bag like it could fix something. "People are talking," she said quietly. "You know that, right?" I assumed. "They're saying you embarrassed him, that you leaked those screenshots to humiliate him." "I didn't leak anything. I showed the truth to the people who wouldn't stop contacting me." She sighed. "I know, but rumors don't care about truth." I nodded, poured us tea. She hesitated before speaking again. "Do you still love him?" Love. The word felt outdated, like a product past its warranty. "I love the version of him who was honest," I said, "but that person doesn't exist." My mother studied me, eyes soft but edged. Then let that be enough. By the end of the week, the drama had migrated online. Someone, probably one of his friends, posted a vague status. "Imagine losing the love of your life because you care more about money than marriage." The comments filled up fast. Half the people praised boundaries. The rest called me cold. I didn't reply. I made a folder instead. /evidence, manipulation / screenshots, emails, everything. My lawyer called it insurance. I called it sleep. On the 7th day, my receptionist buzzed. "There's a visitor for you," she said. "A Mrs. Whitmore." I almost laughed. "Of course there is." Patricia strode in before I could say no, this time without the tissue, without the tremble. She sat across from me, hands clasped, expression calibrated. "I'll be brief," she said. "Evan hasn't eaten in days. He's devastated." "I'm sure," I said. "Anything else?" She looked directly at me. "You think you've won, don't you? Exposing him, making him look foolish." "I didn't make him do anything," I said. "He did that himself." "You humiliated our family," she said. "Over paperwork." I leaned back. "He conspired to deceive me about a legal agreement involving my livelihood." I revealed the deception. If that humiliated anyone, perhaps the humiliation is earned. Patricia's jaw tightened. "You'll end up alone, Juliet. No one wants a woman who keeps score." "Maybe not," I said, "but at least I'll know which game I'm playing." She left without another word. That evening, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No stamp. Just my name in Evan's handwriting. I opened it on the porch under the yellow light. "Juliet, I know you hate me. I probably deserve that. But please understand. Brooke exaggerated everything. I never meant to manipulate you. I just didn't know how to talk about my fears without sounding weak. You're so composed all the time. It's intimidating. I didn't think you'd listen if I said I felt small. I still love you. I can sign the prenup now if that's what it takes. I'll do whatever you want. Please just meet me. Coffee, 5 minutes. Anywhere. Evan." I read it twice. The ink had smudged where a drop of water, or maybe a tear, had fallen. For a moment, I let myself imagine it. The cafe meeting, the apology, the neat cinematic forgiveness arc. Then I remembered Brooke's message. Agree now, refuse later. "No, thank you." I placed the letter back into the envelope, sealed it again, and tucked it into the evidence folder. It didn't belong to nostalgia. It belonged to documentation. The next morning, I went for a run. The air was cool, the sky a washed-out silver. Every step was an exorcism. By the time I looped back home, I'd decided what to do with the ring. I drove to the jeweler. The man behind the counter recognized me. Cold feet? He asked, smiling. Something like that. He appraised the ring, then looked up. 60% of the original price. That's the best I can do. I nodded. Deal. Cash for closure. When I left, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt still, like gravity had found me again. Later that day, my phone buzzed with a message from Lauren. He's saying you overreacted, that you set him up. He's angry because people found out what he did, but between us, thank you for showing me the truth. I love my brother, but he needed this wake-up call. I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, take care of him, but keep your distance. Lauren replied, I plan to. That night, my mother texted, sleep well tonight. You did the hard part. I stared at the glowing screen, the words hovering like a benediction I didn't quite believe yet. Because the hard part wasn't walking away. It was staying gone. Silence turned out to be louder than the chaos before it. A week passed. Then 2. I started waking up without checking my phone for explosions. My mornings began to feel mine again. But Evan wasn't finished. It started with whispers through mutual friends that I'd overreacted, that I was cold, transactional, incapable of love. The narrative morphed with disturbing precision. Every story has a villain, and Evan made sure I fit neatly into his. A friend of mine, Ashley, texted me screenshots of a group chat she'd been added to by accident. The group included several of Evan's friends, some colleagues, and a few of mine. Apparently, someone had forwarded my evidence to Get Opinions. Ashley's text read, they're trying to spin it. Just giving you a heads up before it blows up wider. In the screenshots, Brooke, the same Brooke who coached him, was back in the chorus. Brooke, Juliet embarrassed him publicly. He only did what any guy would do. Protect himself. Someone else. Protect himself from what? Honesty? Brooke. She sent those texts to his family. That's cruel. Private messages shouldn't be weaponized. I could almost hear her voice, that smooth, self-righteous pitch. Evan, I just wish she'd talk to me instead of going nuclear. Talk to him? He'd plotted leverage with a friend, then called manipulation strategy. I'd responded with documentation, not destruction. There's a difference. Still, I said nothing publicly. No statements, no counters. Just stillness. The internet feeds on motion. Silence starves it. A few days later, my attorney called again. He's threatening defamation, he said dryly. I laughed. He's threatening consequences for his own words? Exactly. Which is why we'll reply with a cease and desist. Don't engage, Juliet. He's flailing. So I didn't. But Evan's parents weren't done either. Gregory left me a voicemail. You've humiliated our son. He was willing to marry you despite your attitude about money. You'll regret this. I listened once, saved it, and forwarded the file to my lawyer. I was learning that integrity often looks like arrogance to those who mistake access for entitlement. 4 days later, a letter arrived, certified mail again. I almost didn't sign for it, but curiosity is a stubborn muscle. Inside was 5 pages, handwritten in looping, uneven script. Juliet, you have every right to be angry. What you saw in those texts wasn't my finest moment. Brooke was pushing me, and I was weak enough to listen. But I never meant to deceive you. I was scared. You have so much, your house, your career, your family's business. I just wanted to feel equal. Every time we talked about the prenup, I felt smaller. That's not your fault. It's mine. I'm in therapy now. I'm working on myself. My therapist says I have deep abandonment trauma from my father, leaving when I was little. Maybe that's why I panicked about protection. It felt like rejection. I love you. I never stopped. Please, let's start over. I'll sign anything you want. Evan, I folded the letter carefully, slid it into a plastic sleeve, and added it to the folder labeled Evidence. If you have to beg for trust, it's already broken. The next day, Ashley called me. Her voice was low, urgent. Juliet, I need to tell you something. That anonymous number that sent you the screenshots, that was me. I thought so, I said. Why tell me now? Because Brooke's furious. She found out someone leaked the messages. She's been telling people she's going to expose you. I just didn't want you blindsided. Expose me for what? For having boundaries, apparently. I smiled faintly, then let her try. Ashley hesitated. You're handling this better than anyone I know. Not better, I said. Just done. 2 nights later, I got another message from Lauren. He's falling apart, Juliet. I tried to tell him he did this to himself, but he keeps saying you destroyed him. I replied, Lauren, I didn't destroy him. I stopped protecting his illusion. She didn't respond. The following weekend, I hosted dinner for two of my oldest friends, a small act of reclamation. Candlelight, simple food, real laughter. For the first time in months, I felt like my home belonged to me again. Halfway through dessert, my phone buzzed with a social media notification. Evan had posted something new, a photo of him at a bar, arms slung around Brooke's shoulders. The caption read, "Lessons learned. Some people choose money over love, but I'll always choose loyalty." My friend saw it over my shoulder. The silence was brief, then broken by a single dry laugh. I turned the phone face down. "You can't control what people say about you," I said, "but you can control who deserves a reaction." The rest of the night, we didn't speak his name. Later that week, I received one final email from my lawyer. "Cease and desist delivered. No response yet. I suspect the storm's winding down." I stared at the message, the cursor blinking like a pulse. Winding down. What an unremarkable phrase for what had felt like the unmaking of a life. I looked around my quiet home, the same walls that once held wedding plans and laughter and long discussions about future children, the same table where I'd said, "I'll leave it." Everything looked exactly the same, and nothing did. I lit a candle and sat on the floor, watching the flame's reflection ripple on the window glass. Outside, the city hummed on, indifferent. I wasn't broken. I wasn't triumphant. I was simply free. And for the first time in months, that felt like enough. The weeks that followed were quiet in the way an emptied house hums after the guests have gone. Not silent, but breathable. I boxed up the last of Evan's things. The French press he never cleaned properly, the stack of mystery novels he never finished, the cufflinks he swore he'd need for the next big event. Each item felt like punctuation at the end of a sentence I was no longer writing. I texted Lauren. "His things are packed. You can pick them up whenever." She arrived that afternoon. No dramatics. Just a woman with tired eyes and a brother-shaped burden. "I'm sorry," she said, standing in the doorway. "For all of it. For how our family treated you." I nodded. "It's over, Lauren. Just take care of him." She hesitated, then added, "He still says he doesn't understand how you could walk away so easily." "Easily?" I smiled faintly. There was nothing easy about any of this. I just chose not to drown with him. She didn't argue. She just carried the boxes out, one by one, leaving the house a little lighter each trip. The following Monday, I took the engagement ring receipt and the final invoice from the venue, placed them in my evidence folder, and labeled the tab "Closed." My lawyer would probably keep it on file for a year, just in case. I'd keep it longer, not out of spite, but memory. Proof that boundaries weren't cruelty and clarity wasn't arrogance. By then, word had spread that Evan had been let go from his event firm. Officially, it was restructuring. Unofficially, gossip has gravity, and his colleagues had seen the screenshots that contradicted his version of betrayal. He tried to reach out once more, a short email that said, "I'm sorry you think I'm the villain." I didn't respond, because villains always think they're misunderstood heroes. One evening, my mother stopped by with a pie she'd baked just because. She glanced around the house, the uncluttered shelves, the faint smell of vanilla candle, and smiled. "You look rested," she said. "I am," I answered truthfully. She poured tea and sat across from me, folding her hands. "Do you regret it?" "Regret what?" "The prenup, the decision, any of it." I shook my head. "Not once. It wasn't about the paper, Mom. It was about honesty, about someone thinking they could change the rules because I'd already said yes." She exhaled softly. "Your father used to say, if someone flinches at fairness, they were never planning to play fair." We shared a quiet laugh. I didn't know if it was wisdom or coincidence that her words echoed the same lesson I'd bled to learn. A few days later, Ashley invited me for dinner. We hadn't seen each other since the fallout. "You know Brooke moved cities?" she said halfway through our meal. I blinked. "Seriously?" "Yep. Apparently a few people in her circle stopped working with her after those screenshots. The whole relationship strategist act didn't survive daylight." "Actions have gravity," I murmured. Ashley smiled. "You sound like someone who's finally done grieving." Maybe I am. One night I pulled an old photo album from the top shelf, the one from our Charleston trip 2 years ago. There it was, Evan and me, barefoot in the sand, laughing at something unimportant. The light behind us was amber, the kind that lies for the camera. I stared for a long time, tracing my smile with my thumb. Then I placed the photo back, closed the album, and returned it to the shelf, not in anger, in peace. Some memories don't need erasing. They just need to stop auditioning for the future. In early spring, our printing company signed the hospital contract I'd been chasing for months. It was a major win, not just for business, but for rhythm. For the first time, I felt the hum of competence again, steady and quiet, like home returning. Mom called that evening. "Your father says congratulations." "That's all?" "He's not big on speeches." She paused. "But he's proud. So am I." I smiled. "Tell him I'm fine, really fine." After we hung up, I stood at the window. Outside, the city lights flickered, hundreds of small, distant promises. I thought about what Evan's letter had said, about fear and equality and love. I hoped he found help that wasn't disguised as manipulation. I hoped Brooke learned that cleverness without integrity is just cruelty with better punctuation. Mostly, I hoped I'd remember this, that walking away isn't failure when you're walking toward yourself. Sometimes, late at night, I open the evidence folder one last time, not to reread, just to see the weight of it. Paper and ink documenting the moment I decided that my peace was worth more than my reputation. Then I close it, slide it back into the drawer, and let the hum of the dishwasher take over the house again. That quiet rhythm of a life running exactly as it should. Because competence doesn't shout, it hums, and I've finally learned to listen to it again.